Good afternoon. My name is Janet Kirk, and I am a longtime friend of Bob's and a fellow alum. It is a distinct honor and privilege to have been asked to share some of my remembrances of our friend, Robert Arthur Stead, best known in this place and in the town of Wolfville, as well as in municipal governance circles around the country, as just Bob Stead. A remarkable individual who lived life with zest and verve, with good humor and keen intelligence, with a joyful spirit and a grateful heart, and with a deeply felt commitment to serving others. Bob has graced our lives with his presence, and we are ever so much the better for it. It is very fitting that Bob's memorial service should be held here in University Hall. It's the place where he convocated in the spring of 1963, and one floor down is the place that housed his office while he served as Director of Admissions for 27 years. And here in Convocation Hall is where he represented the town of Wolfville at all of the convocations that took place during his 15 years as mayor. There is a lot of Bob in these walls and in this place. I can't honestly remember when I first met Bob. That's probably a function of age, but anyway, I can't remember, but I do know that it was during the time that he served as Director of Admissions. This was a position that was a natural for Bob. He loved Acadia, had had a great student experience himself, had Ruby Mae Thompson as a mentor and friend, and had a genuine interest in people and in the well-being of people. One of the qualities that Bob brought to the position of Director of Admissions was the ability to look beyond the transcript in assessing a prospective student's application for admission. He had an uncanny knack for seeing undocumented potential, and in those cases was always willing to take a risk. As a consequence, as Ray has shared with us, there are many wonderful stories of Acadia grads with successful careers who attribute their success to Bob's ability to see that potential and his willingness to take a chance. Somewhere along the line, Bob developed an interest in municipal government. To use his own words, it was initially born of a curiosity. He wanted to find out how it worked. In the fall of 1988, he ran and was elected to town council, a position he held for 9 consecutive years. His time on council whetted his appetite for greater involvement in municipal government, and with his retirement from Acadia in 1996, the stage was set for his consideration of the position of mayor. In the municipal elections of 1997, he was elected to that position and served as mayor for the next 15 years. Bob's career in municipal government is one that includes a long list of significant accomplishments and accolades. Let me share with you some of that impressive list. First town in Nova Scotia to adopt bylaws for 100% smoke-free indoor places. First fair trade town in Canada. First town in Canada to pass legislation prohibiting smoking in cars carrying children. The Courage in Public Policy Award from the Canadian Cancer Society. The Wolfville Watershed Nature Preserve. Service on the executives of the Union of Nova Scotia Municipalities and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. The Distinguished Alumni Award from the Associated Alumni of Acadia University and the Union of Nova Scotia Municipalities Ken Simpson Memorial Award for Outstanding Leadership in Municipal Governance. And I should add that Bob was the inaugural recipient of that particular award, and that in itself is quite an honor. What an amazing legacy. And the list doesn't end there. Bob was committed to the idea of building healthier communities and provided leadership for a number of initiatives that did just that. He was also an enthusiast for the development of green spaces and for outdoor public art, the Town Clock Mini Park and the Ruth Abernathy sculpture at the waterfront being two notable examples. His enthusiasm was a glorious contagion. As impressive as is this list of achievements, more remarkable still is the modest and self-effacing manner of this man who has done so much. A discussion of these initiatives would rarely make use of the word I. For Bob, it was always a collective effort. We did this, and we did that, and we made such and such happen. In his typically humble way, Bob would often say of his work as mayor that he just wanted to help the town be a little bit better. Bob loved the town he called home, and that was apparent in so many of our conversations. He was proud of Wolfville, proud of its civic-minded citizens, delighted with their willingness to respond to a challenge, and keen to help this small valley town become all that it could be. He was a visionary and an animator, a collaborator, and a communicator. I think it's fair to say that Bob has left the town quite a bit more than just a little bit better. Now, lest you think that Bob was all about business, let me assure you that nothing could be further from the truth. He had a quick wit and a wicked sense of humor. I'm sure he used this to good advantage in his work, but for me, the memory will always be the banter and repartee of two old friends. As former educators, we shared the joy of convocations and always look forward to this annual celebration. But we also look forward to the opportunity to kibitz before the ceremony would begin. Always a chuckle and a giggle before we started our march down these aisles. Bob also loved a good dinner party, and he and Danny hosted a good number of them. The food was always superb, the conversation lively, and the atmosphere upbeat. An invitation to 3 Chestnut Street was always a treat. Particularly memorable were the strawberry socials that Bob and Danny hosted during the years of the Atlantic Theater Festival. Intended as a way to say thank you to performers, directors, staff, and sponsors of the festival, it quickly became the premier off-stage event during festival season. In reviewing Bob's 2 careers, his time at Acadia and his time at the town, it is apparent that he was a man who gave generously of his time and considerable talents. That generous spirit was also evident in his volunteer activities. Most notable was his longtime interest in and support for the work of L'Arche Home Fires. A frequent visitor to Applewicks and an avid promoter of all things L'Arche, Bob was quick to say yes to the invitation to co-chair the L'Arche Building Our Dream Capital campaign. This was an initiative that was top of mind and close to heart right to his final days. Bob had a very big heart. Bob also had a very grateful heart. He never forgot a kindness, and he always remembered and gave credit to those people who were positive influences in his life. First and foremost, his family, his mom and dad, and that full household of adoring sisters. The couple who summered at a neighboring cottage and who persuaded Bob to pursue post-secondary education. Rupert McNeil, who offered the scholarship that made it possible for Bob to come to Acadia. Ruby Mae Thompson, the registrar when Bob was a student. Eric Hansen, who taught Bob organic chemistry. Helen Beals, who introduced him to the world of visual arts and who would awaken an interest that would last a lifetime. And Jean Marsh, a fellow visionary and someone who shared his keen interest in municipal governance and with whom he shared many long lunches. The list is long. These are but a few. And then there is Danny, his partner in life and his partner in marriage. This was a relationship that made life more sweet. This was also a relationship that made Bob's life as a public figure ever so much easier. From the juggling of calendars to the fine art and skill of accommodating the impromptu, Danny was always able to make it work. And most important of all, he was the listening ear, Bob's sounding board, his confidant, and his go-to guy for honest feedback. Bob and Danny shared 17 wonderful years, and for both of them, each day was a joy and a blessing. Bob once commented that nothing of significance happened in his life but for the influence of people who cared about him,